Dating isn't fun anymore when you feel like you are always the one initiating, chasing, begging, pleading with someone who you love to stay with you just a little bit longer so you can prove to them that you can make this relationship work. You can change who you are, anything, so that they will not leave you. I know it hurts right now, but you don't have anything to be embarrassed about, and you are not alone. Hello, friends. My name is Maria, and for almost 20 years, I struggled in and out of relationships with breadcrumbing, emotionally unavailable, dismissive avoidance. And I don't know if you watch the worldwide weather, but this week there was a hurricane threat careening towards Florida, which is where I live. But instead of leaving you guys high and dry, I still wanted to put out a video compilation of some very old videos a lot of you, I'm sure, have never seen before. They were from when I first started this channel, and they talk about some of the biggest lessons I have ever learned. I also made this video because I know, as someone who always got mixed up in relationships with all the wrong kinds of people, hot and cold, mixed signal behaviors, I know that if you're someone who continuously finds yourself in a pattern of dating people like this, especially if you go even harder chasing them after they reject you, you're also probably, like me, the kind of person that struggles with limerence. Limerence is an addictive thought process that keeps you hooked on someone who's no longer available to you. In the second video, I'll take you through one of the processes I began to do when I would get rejected by somebody that I had a lot of hopes for, that would keep me from getting dysregulated, that crash that you get after a breakup, where all your healthy habits go out the window and you begin to really ruminate and focus on this person. In the third video, I will take you through why your anxiety lies to you. And when people treat you poorly, it's not because you are unworthy. And in the last video, I'll take you through a real life experience that happened to me maybe about a year ago, with a couple of people who they blew me off when they were the ones that invited me out to an event that I was really looking forward to. I had a viewer ask, how do we really trust ourselves after we've been through a breakup with someone who blindsides us and pulls the carpet out from underneath us? How do you trust people? We really don't know them when we first meet them. So when someone shows you who they are, you can kind of shift and pivot, and you hold strong in your boundaries. And you get over rejections and blow-offs and ghosting so much faster. So if you are ready to learn some of the biggest lessons I learned about hyper-focusing on an ex, how to not diminish myself and take control of my life, knowing that my anxiety was a lie, and holding my boundaries that I learned in my 20 years of dating emotionally unavailable and avoidant people, then grab a bottle of nail polish and let's talk. Limerence is a very emotional and oftentimes addictive state of mind where you keep obsessing over someone you are not even in a real relationship with. Limerence will keep you fantasizing about people who have either already rejected you, or deep down, you will never realistically be able to be together. And I know when you say the word fantasy, it sounds fun, but if you have struggled with limerence for years or your entire life, there is nothing fun about it. Constantly pining over something that you cannot have is like walking through life wearing a 50-pound weighted vest. Because the more you let limerence suck you in, the harder and harder it becomes to deal with real life. Real life starts to feel very uncomfortable. You're in this uneasy state. Feels like you're withdrawing from a drug. And that's because limerence will quite literally make you feel high. It's an escape that floods your brain with dopamine that the monotony of real life can't compete with. That's why if you struggle with limerence, it is so important that you continuously find things that give you joy. We are the most vulnerable to limerence when the chips are down and our life sucks. So, who here struggles with limerence? It's no longer something that I struggle with every day, but I know myself enough to know that I'm highly susceptible to it. That's why I always provide safeguards for myself. For example, I no longer continue to invest in people whose words and actions have shown me that they are not interested in continuing or pursuing a relationship with me. Now, that sounds simplistic, but here is the insidious thing about limerence. Someone can reject you right to your face, and you hear something totally different. That's because for some of us, being rejected feels exactly like we're being abandoned. Our survival brain can't handle it, so it flips it. Let's say you go on a couple of dates with somebody that you are really excited about and you think the feeling is mutual, and then all of a sudden the communication kind of starts to dry up. You text them one day and you're like, hey, when can we hang out again? And they wait a little while and then come back with the, yeah, I had fun and I think you're great, but I just really need to work on myself right now. Now, to someone who maybe has a secure attachment or just is a little healthier in themselves, people recognize the I'm working on myself as the soft letdown. It is the I don't want to hurt your feelings. This is my polite rejection. People get that. But if you suffer from limerence and abandonment issues, you can physically hear the rejection. But once the pain and disappointment of the situation start to kick in, your body, your brain, it's like it almost tries to protect you from it. And instead of feeling the pain, processing the feelings, letting that person go and moving on, you begin to romanticize it. Like, oh, what a tortured soul. Having me in their life would make it better. I understand what they're going through. I can finally make them happy. It's almost like you're treating them like they're dumb, like, oh, they just can't see how happy I can make them. You are not living in reality because you cannot handle the reality that someone met you, got to know you, weighed their options, and then threw you back into the masses and didn't really care if they saw you ever again. And that thought floods your brain with so much uncomfortable fear that you completely detach from the reality of the situation. And you get stuck on the memory of when you first started talking and dating, like, oh gosh, and remember those nice compliments he gave me, and flirting was so much fun, and oh, we went out to that restaurant, we had such a good time, and he told me how much he liked me. It made me feel so good. Exactly, right? All the good dopamine. And this is exactly why it is so important that we protect ourselves from limerence by making sure we commit to ourselves that no matter what changes in our lives, we never lose our own hobbies and passions that are just for us. So if someone does try to leave you, it doesn't feel like they're taking all of your happiness with them. Now, it is normal to go through sadness when someone that you are excited about or really, really like, had high hopes for, dumps you. However, it is not normal or healthy to continue to obsessively think about them, orbit them, or sporadically message them, thinking that it's just a matter of time before they realize, of course you're the one, and now life will finally match the fantasy and the potential that you thought the relationship had. And when you stay in limerence with people who are not available to you, you miss opportunities, real opportunities with real people who could have genuinely liked you and been interested in you. Healthy people are not out there searching for emotionally unavailable people to start relationships with. If you are totally hung up, even if you're alone, because you're not really in the relationship with them, right? But in your mind, you're completely obsessed with them. Healthy people will still feel this energy. The dumb part is you will continue to attract emotionally unavailable people. And securely attached, available people are going to walk right past you. It's a pretty nasty, self-defeating cycle. Oh, and limerence really starts to do the most damage when you begin to turn on yourself. Oh, I can change. I'll just show them I can be kinder. I can be more available to them. I can look better. I can be prettier. You just start to tear yourself apart. You begin to tear yourself down while simultaneously putting the other person up more, just higher and higher on that pedestal. And look, it actually starts to become a visual aid of how detached you are becoming from reality. The reality is no one is perfect. If you start hearing yourself use words like perfection, yeah, you might be someone who struggles with limerence. And I know that we say that a lot, don't we? Right? Like, oh, but they were perfect. They were perfect for me. There's only one thing I'm going to say about someone who is perfect for you. The person who is perfect for you loves you back, loves you as you are as a human. And that means when you are sick, or it's the stressful holidays or your birthday, they aren't getting weird over text or pulling away or preemptively dumping you because, oh, it's getting a little too vulnerable. They are right beside you, next to you. That is the reality that you are looking for. That's the reciprocal love that you are, as a limerent person, fantasizing about. You don't have to take my word for it. Ask Aphrodite. She is the goddess of love. I'm so happy that instead of obsessing over someone who has rejected me today, I was here in my real life with you, enjoying talking to you and painting my nails. Don't feel blue because you had the strength to walk away from a bad relationship. There you go. Show your self-love instead by painting your nails with OPI's Rich Girls Po Boys, inspired by OPI's New Orleans collection. Feel transported to the city of music and let this melodic cream color inspire you to write a love song of your very own. At only $11.49 on Amazon, this sophisticated polish will turn heads of lovers who only have eyes for you. If you grew up with chaos all around you in your life, you are probably someone who struggles with chaos in your mind. For a lot of us, what that means is when something unexpected, chaotic, stressful, or negative happens, we crash. It's hard to get out of bed. It's hard to get off the couch. We're having a hard time just dealing, or we're hyper-focusing on something negative. It's completely hijacking our brains and our bodies. This can have incredibly detrimental side effects to your life. Maybe you lose your job because you stop going to work, start to call in sick too many times. You lose relationships because your friends think everything's fine and all of a sudden they don't hear from you at all for 2 weeks. How about that test for school on Friday that you had every intention of studying for, but then something happened, you got dysregulated, now it's not so important, and you bomb. Dysregulation can cause even more chaos in your life because any healthy habit that you finally got started on, that's done. Any skincare routine or fitness plan you started, that's out the window. And the part that really stinks is once you finally get re-regulated, you have to start to build these habits all over again from square one. So you never make any real progress. One of my other big downfalls with dysregulation is I could never consistently keep healthy habits. I would totally be on a roll with eating healthy and fitness habits, and then something negative would happen, particularly a rejection. I'd stop doing all of it, sometimes for weeks. I feel like things, especially breakups, where it's not just a one and done. you're going to get over that breakup as long as it takes you, and you can stay completely dysregulated for a pretty extended amount of time. And if you think being dysregulated for one day can do a lot of harm on your health and your relationships, try 6 months. Really imagine the damage it can do in the big picture of your life if you were dysregulated for 6 months. And I know if you're watching this video, you know exactly what kind of damage it can do. I lived like this for over 30 years until I had a night where I went through a particularly embarrassing rejection. I got a text message and I walked into my living room, and I already knew, because this is how I reacted to rejections for years, that I was going to have to completely write off the very next day. Oh, just might as well forget about doing anything productive. I'm going to sit on the couch. I'm going to eat junk food. I might stress text a few people or seek to other people that aren't good for me just to have a hit of dopamine or a hit of validation. But for whatever reason, and it could have only been grace, I did not choose to take that route. I said, no, I'm not going to give in to the dysregulation, and I got myself a kitty cat notebook. I just went into my room and I found a random from the thrift store notebook. It's super high tech, right? Don't knock it. It worked. What I wrote down in this notebook made a tremendous positive change in my life, and I would like to share that with you today. Let's start with what we can do when we begin to feel triggered. We know we're about to get dysregulated, or maybe we've started going through the dysregulation. We're going to grab a notebook, and here's what we're going to do. Now, I'm sure you can't see it on the camera, but I sat down on my couch and I planned out every single minute of my day the next day, because the rejection came in the evening for me. So I knew that the next morning I was going to wake up feeling like sludge, and I wasn't going to be able to mentally feel like I was strong enough to get anything done. I've gotten a little more high tech than this, but this was my very first rudimentary attempt at overcoming dysregulation, so I'd like to read it to you. Across the top, I wrote, "Good morning, I love you." So that first thing in the morning when I opened this up, I would see those words, and I would know there is a big reason I'm doing this for myself, that no matter what happened yesterday, I still love myself. So I'm going to fight for myself. And here's how we do that. 7 to 7:30, coffee. 7:30 to 8:30, I had to go walk dogs for my job. 8:30 to 9, breakfast. 9 to 9:30, get dressed and do face and makeup. 9:30 to 9:45, wash the dishes. 9:45 to 10, sweep. 10 to 10:15, clean the bathrooms. I don't give myself 1 minute to sit down and accidentally let my mind spiral out of control to where I feel so emotionally dysregulated, I can't get back up. And you know why else this is nice? No matter what is going on around you, and your brain will probably be going crazy, especially if something negative happened. For me, breakups were the worst. But it didn't matter, because I told myself all I had to do was follow the instructions that I wrote out for myself the night before. So every day after I finished checking off my tabs in my kitty cat notebook, I sat down on the couch and I did the same exact thing. I wrote, "Good morning, I love you." And then I wrote out every single minute of my day. It didn't matter what was going on. It didn't matter what was going on in here. All I had to do was control my motor skills. Follow the list. I could be thinking crazy thoughts while I'm washing dishes. It doesn't matter. It keeps me going. And anytime you have that, oh, I'm about to slip and go down an emotional spiral, refer to the list and just keep going. It takes all the brain work out of it for you, and it makes sure that you're still taking care of yourself. I definitely put things like that on the list, like reminding myself to eat breakfast, reminding myself to drink my water. And that's what I do now. If I'm having an emotionally taxing day, and I could feel where it might be a day where I'm tired, or I could Being tired can dysregulate me if I don't get consistent sleep. And I just sigh and I say, Maria, keep going. And I pull up my list, because I use an app now, but I pull up my list and I tell myself, it doesn't matter. All you have to do is follow everything on the list, and everything else will fall into place. It's going to be okay. But you're taking care of yourself first, and you're taking care of your priorities first. Frustrated because you can't find a date to the dance? Don't sweat it. Show yourself love instead with Summer Make the Rules by OPI. This colorful collection will lift you up and shed those fears of being caught alone in a crowd. Show up with confidence, knowing that when you learn all the right moves, your dance card will always be full. That's right, you got it! Let your nails outshine the competition so you can find a partner who's always in your corner. When someone is rude or treats us poorly and rejects us, we believe the lie that our brain is telling us that we aren't good enough because somewhere along the way in our life, someone lied to us and made us feel like we weren't good enough. Dating anxiety will have you internalizing other people's rude and dismissive behavior as, I'm not good enough. If you're an anxious dater like I was, here's a common example of how we do this. Let's say we're texting someone we like. It's not a serious relationship. It might even be the dreaded situationship. We ask them about going to the beach the next weekend, and they're like, sure. But then we don't hear from them at all over the course of the week, and I'll bet you know that gnawing feeling in your gut. So finally, the day before the day you were supposed to go out together, you text them to confirm, and they're like, oh, my apologies, I'm busy, but you have fun at the beach, exclamation point. The blow off, exclamation point. They don't even bother to reschedule. Not only are they completely dismissing you and the fact that they made plans with you already to go to the beach, they're also dismissing the fact that you specifically invited them to the beach. Why on earth would you go without them? Really think about the audacity of someone who agreed to plans with you, but then something came up, and not only did they completely discard you, they didn't even have the courtesy to text you and let you know there was a change of plans. You had to text them. It's outrageous behavior. And on some level, we know that. Our gut tells us that, because that anxious feeling is now replaced with an anger and a disappointment in their rude behavior. But the problem is, once our anger begins to dissipate, our anxious brain does a little flip. It's no longer about their behavior being so rude that you are no longer attracted to them, which is the healthy response. Our preoccupation is lying and telling us they have better things to do because they are so attractive that we are not good enough for them. This is a lie. It's a lie that your anxious attachment tells you. Another lie your anxiety tells you is the person who rejected you is busy because whatever they've got going on is so much more fun and interesting than your life. Do you recognize the feeling that whenever someone rejects you, it's almost like you begin to obsess a little more about them? You are putting them up on a pedestal, like your life is lame and their life is fun. Your anxious brain will tell you their life is so great, and that is a lie. Their life is just like everyone else's life. It's driving to work and trying to figure out what they're going to eat for dinner, helping people move, family obligations, fighting with their brother-in-law, taking the dog out, watching Netflix, playing video games. It's the same as everyone else's. And even if they are going out every once in a while and doing fun things, if you believe that that's the difference between your life and their exciting life, it's only different because you aren't going out and doing those fun things. They are not the gatekeeper of fun activities, and this is a big whopping lie that our anxious brains tell us. They tell us that we need this person in order to go out and do things that we want to do. We cannot go out and do these things without that certain person. Our anxious brains keep us going in a scarcity mindset that is a lie. I spent almost 20 years going from one relationship to the next, clinging on to each toxic relationship, thinking that I would never be able to find someone else, even though I was almost never alone. I always told myself I needed that person because no one else would have me. That's not logical. It is not logical for us to believe that we will never get to do things that we want to do because we need this one person to do it with us. It's not logical to believe that there is absolutely no one else out there that you will find attractive who also likes watching Netflix and eating out at restaurants. It's just a lie that your anxious brain tells you. How does it make you feel if I were to tell you that you're good enough just the way you are right now? What thought immediately pops up in your brain? What lies are your anxiety telling you? And that's the narrative that we learn, that we carry around. That's the feeling that we're comfortable with. Well, maybe it's time to get a little uncomfortable. Well, challenge that lie, argue with it, fight back, get feisty. When someone else goes out of their way to treat you like crap and you feel all those old feelings of not being good enough, remember, your anxious attachment is a liar, and it will have you believing that they're too good for you. It'll have you believing things that simply are not real. They're a manipulation. They're an illusion. You could even say they're black magic. Don't be someone else's free maid today. Show your self-love instead by painting your nails with OPI's short story. It's a beautiful two-coat cream that's perfect for the transition from spring to summer. And the best part, when your nails are wet, you can't lift a finger for anyone who doesn't deserve it. Hello, my wonderful subscribers. Thank you so much for joining me today. I feel this video is very important because I'm going to share with you the number one thing that I have found in my life that when I changed it, I got more respect from everyone that I know. What I would like to talk about is emotional self-control. We're going to talk about what that is, and I'm going to share with you guys a story that happened to me very recently where I was able to exercise emotional self-control and practice it. And I'm going to tell you what I did to maintain it and why I feel like that scenario was a success. Before my nails get too wet, I would like to share with you a little insert from a journal entry that it was something that I learned and I thought it was important enough to write down, and I'd like to share it with you. What I wrote was, the thing is, we attract all kinds of different people in our lives. The difference is made in those we choose to keep around. Some people make plans and keep them. Some people are flakes. Don't try to beg and change the flakes. Let people be who they are, and you make decisions accordingly. Now, if you can learn to do this with people, that's how you know you've gotten very good at emotional self-control. I talked about in my last video where I realized I had a really bad anxious texting habit of like getting up in the morning and ruminating and sending really inappropriate emotional texts to people. I just sat down, didn't do that, and painted my nails. And it helped me develop that muscle that no matter what is going on in my head, what kind of anxiety I'm going through, I can control my actions. Because sometimes no matter how hard we work on it, the anxiety doesn't just magically go away. And I'll tell you how I know this. A couple of months ago, so not that long ago, I have a gym that I go to that I really enjoy, and there's a couple there that I really enjoy socializing with while I'm there. And I was really into trying to get some healthier friends. So the first time they invited me out somewhere, this was a Thursday, they invited me out for an event on Sunday morning, and I was so excited. They were like, yeah, we're pretty sure we're gonna go. We'll text you and definitely let you know. Okay. I'm really excited about this. I go home, ask my hubby, he's on board. So the next day is a Friday, and I texted them and I was like, hey, I've asked my hubby, he's on board. So if you guys still want to go, just let me know and we'll all go. And I got crickets. And the end of Friday came, and Saturday came, and Saturday night came, and I'm kind of freaking out. I can feel a lot of those old insecurities start to come up. So what I did was I wrote down, because I learned a while back that a lot of my anxiety, especially with people or relationships, it all came from fear. I was scared of things. So Saturday, I sat down and I wrote down everything I was scared of. This is what I wrote. I feel like I'm having a panic attack because I have not gotten a text back. I'm scared that I don't matter. I'm scared that I don't exist. I'm scared that I'm going to get hurt. I'm scared that I'm going to keep making the same mistakes with people over and over and over. I'm scared that I'm all alone. I'm scared that this is all in my head. I'm scared that I'm an old fool. Now, when I, a minute later, went back and read what I had wrote, I immediately realized that these claims I'm making on myself are completely outlandish, unfounded, and this is just, I could really tell how much this was just overblown negative anxiety that didn't have any basis on reality. And that really helped me see everything for what it was. It did help calm me down. I got on with the rest of my weekend. So Sunday night, I got a text from these people and they're like, oh yeah, obviously we didn't go. Hope you had a great weekend. See you at the gym. Now, yes, what they did was extremely rude, but it's not necessarily something that warrants completely cutting people out of your life. I didn't really know them that well, but they were showing me who they were as far as the kind of habits that they have. It would be very hard for me to cultivate a relationship outside of the gym with someone like this because I do have anxiety, and I don't believe that we should just continuously expose ourselves to people whose actions trigger us. That is not healthy. Okay, so because I am kind of a nerd, I like to see progress. Really, that's what this is all about. So I actually compared and contrast what I did that weekend compared to what I would have done in the past. In the past, I would have spent money, I would have gotten very excited, and even though we hadn't solidified the plans, I would have lost emotional self-control and impulsively spent money on clothing for the event. I would have started to get pushy over the text messages. I would have started double texting. I would have, after they texted me that Sunday night, I would have gotten a little like, hey, next time, very preachy and telling them why they hurt my feelings. And then I would have let it ruin my entire week. And instead of doing all that, I did not go out and spend any money on clothing. I drew a boundary and said, no, I don't know if we're actually going, so I'm going to use whatever's in my closet. I'm not going to spend money. I did not text. These people told me they were going to text me, and I gave them the opportunity to show me who they are. And then after they texted me, I acted like it was fine. It's no big deal. And I decided not to give inconsiderate people power over my week. I had a crappy day, and I forgot about it. Don't let the inconsiderations of other people ruin your good time. Now, some people might say, yeah, but what they did was really rude. Yes, it was. And this is not about letting people walk all over you. This is about not letting people diminish who you are in their eyes or in your memories. So the most important thing I did differently this time that I had never done in the past is I set a boundary with them in my mind. I said, okay, the next time they invite me to do something, which I hope they do, we're still friends. I'm going to say, okay, go ahead and figure out your schedule. Let me know if you can. If I don't hear from you by Saturday, I'm going to go ahead and make other plans. But if you can go, let me know. And I think it'd be a lot of fun. And I'm not going to bring up the past. And I'm not going to get salty and butthurt about it. And just imagine kind of how crazy that would look if 6 months from now they invited me to go do something, and the first thing I did was bring up something I was still holding a grudge about 6 months in the past when I had already told them it's fine, no problem. Yeah, there's your fast track to being the crazy lady at the gym. And you know what's the funniest thing of all? Because they are still my friends and I've gotten to know them better, they do this to everybody. There was no personal slight on me. You can't take things so personally People are the way that they are. And a lot of times, if someone really comes at you criticizing you, you have to learn that it is completely a reflection on what they are feeling on the inside. And if you really think about people in the past who've sort of come at you unprecedented with a criticism, think about maybe something they're feeling a little insecure about. Maybe it's the same kind of thing. Have you ever noticed that people often bitch about things in other people, and you're listening to them and you're like, yeah, but you kind of do that all the time too? Really, you'll start to put these things together. You'll start to be less offended by what people do. You'll stop taking it so personally, because you'll finally realize 9 times out of 10, it's not personal. And that's what will really start to help you hold emotional self-control. And I get to keep going to that gym and enjoying my relationship with my boundaries with the people that I enjoy socializing with. Practice emotional self-control at work and on people who are acquaintances that you don't have too many triggers to, and you will get stronger and stronger and stronger. Thank you so much for doing my nails with me today. I've really been enjoying this, and I hope that you are getting value out of these videos. If you are, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified when the next video comes, which I'm guessing is going to be pretty soon, because if you haven't figured it out by now, I'm a bit of a nail polish freak. Thank you guys for allowing me to share these messages with you. You know, it has been incredible painting my nails with you week after week and getting to know you. And I just want to thank all of you. Those videos were put out when I only had like 4 subscribers. They got 30 views a piece, and now I've almost hit 2,000 subscribers, and it's because of you. So thank you. And if you would ever like my particular brand of encouragement and analysis on your specific relationship situation, I do have a Patreon now, and I'll go ahead and put the link for that down below. And I know that if you guys internalize these messages of self-love, self-respect, and holding your boundaries, then in your dating and all of your relationships, just like this hurricane that's blowing into my neighborhood, you too can become a force of nature. I really do hope I'm around to talk to you guys again next week, but if you're in my neck of the woods and you happen to see me floating down the sidewalk, just know my name is Maria Adriana. You did not have to live my life, but I certainly hope you can learn something from it. As always, thank you for visiting. The Other Half.